However, Blake's daughter is now pregnant by her brother via fertilization of her eggs. And
don't tell me this man put her brother's sperm inside her. No way, 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 no way.
torture to Morrow, Nemesis ensures that if she has an abortion, she would be unable to bear children ever again.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that alone was worth the glaze. That is so, dude. You put a brother's sperm in your sister, man. What's good with y'all? We are back. We are going to be watching the most vile villain ever in comics by Mullet Man Comics. The last video when we talked about Bullseye went crazy. So we gonna see what's up with this one. We gonna see how vile this villain is in comics. We gonna see if he's Reverse Flash level, Doctor Doom level, or maybe he's just gassing it up. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to hit 25K is the next sub goal. Make sure you sub up. We gonna get right into it right now. Let's get it.
I have truly never been more astounded about the lengths that a villain could go through to achieve such a level of chaos than I have been by reading Nemesis. This guy makes everything that the Joker, the Reverse Flash, and probably what any other villain has done combined look like child's play. It's actually baffling. This guy, who looks exactly like what I'd imagine Batman and Moon Knight's love child to be, is the psychotic lunatic known as Nemesis. And he's exactly that. I mean, in the first pages of his comic, he hijacks the president's plane mid-flight.
Yo, I don't know why my chat is not showing up on the screen. I might have to like close and reopen. But is what it is. For the editors in here, just cut after the intro and you can just start right. You can just start right here. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why the chat's not showing up, but hey, F it, let's go.
Nemesis. This guy makes everything that the Joker, the Reverse Flash, and probably what any other villain has done combined look like child's play. It's actually baffling. This guy,
he better be that crazy. That is, you named the Rogues Gallery of villains, and you saying he's just better than them. We gonna have to see. Do y'all know who he's from? And he's probably gonna say where he's from. Who's like his superhero counterpart, essentially? Like where's this guy from?
The guy who looks exactly like what I'd imagine Batman and Moon Knight's love child to be is the psychotic lunatic known as Nemesis. And he's exactly that. I mean, in the first pages of his comic, he hijacks the president's plane mid-flight, he kills the pilots, and then proceeds to crash land the plane on top of thousands of people, taking down several buildings, causing as much destruction and chaos as humanly possible.
The niggas who made Invincible, that makes perfect sense. There's no way your first scene is you killing the pilot of the president's plane and you driving it towards the... Look at how he's driving it towards civilians with this grin on his face, bro.
Causing as much destruction.
Dude, someone gotta check up Image Comics, bro. There's no way you made this and you made Invincible. They are too happy writing comics of these civilians just getting murked. It's like it's never on some calm stuff. It's always like if civilians are getting murked, it's like they're getting murked by the thousands in the most brutal way possible. This is insane. That is insane stuff.
Chaos as humanly possible. That is one way to start your comic. Nemesis would have the training, the gadgets, and the fortune to become the #1 villain in the world. And when I tell you he makes Griffith look like a good guy, I'm literally not kidding you.
That's great. We might be seeing some insane stuff. There's no way. That's too crazy. Griffith has done too much. Everyone knows that one casket scene, but I would arguably say him sacrificing, him sliming out his day ones is damn. I don't know. Would you say damn near worse? It's like as heinous though. Like he real life slimed all of his day ones except for Guts, because Guts was just too angry to die. Guts was legitimately too angry to die. If he was not, he would have slimed everybody he grew up with just to get his power. I'm not gonna lie, Griffith's a demon, bro. Griffith a demon. We gonna have to see. If he's actually worse than Griffith, we'll see. But I don't know. You're glazing him. We're not even a minute in. You're glazing him a little too much. We're gonna have to see.
He somehow leagues above him, if you can believe it. And after I read Nemesis' entire reading order, I was left shooketh at the guy's track record. To me, Nemesis is the most vile fictional villain I've ever read. This guy will do anything, and I mean anything, to get his way. He will murder, torture, maim, inseminate, and frame you for meeting minors, all to go according to his own insane scheme for revenge. He is so complete.
That nigga Chris Hansen?
All to go torture, maim, inseminate, and frame you for meeting minors.
Oh, frame you. Okay, I thought you said he's gonna set you up. Okay. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. This nigga evil Gideon, bro. You making niggas look like pedophiles. Nah, that's crazy, bro.
At times while reading, I felt like I had to take a break and go take a shower, and I haven't felt that much darkness in me that I had to like wash it away since I watched the movie Requiem for a Dream. So that's a very incredible thing to make me feel so disgusting after reading that I had to go take a shower to wash away all of the horrendous shit that I read. And making this video,
Mullick Man Comics, I love you. If I don't feel like this villain reaches the glaze you're giving right now, I might have to drop a dislike. Not actually, but actually. This glaze is insane, bro. Pop it out, bro. Like, damn, there's no way he can't be that evil, bro. Come on. He can't. There's
honestly,
no way. There's actually
if this video gets like flagged and demonetized just for how crazy it gets, because it's just wild. He'll cross any boundary, like virtually any boundary. It's insane. So yeah, let's get into it. Initially, when reading his first series produced by Icon Comics, we are led to believe that Nemesis is also known as Matthew Anderson, heir to the Anderson fortune. The Anderson family smuggled children from the black market and were entirely awful people. Totally opposite of the Wayne family already. Soon they'd be caught red-handed, and not too long afterward, bored under the care of his uncle who now inherited a billion-dollar electronics company, Anderson ran away and traveled the globe to learn the ways of crime. By the age of 12, he was a gang lord. By 15, Asia's largest drug exporter. And at the age of 23, he felt he was ready to start his mother's dying wish. And that...
What?
That would be destroying the clever police officer. At this point in Nemesis' career, he is an expert in all things villainy, always seeming to know what's going to happen next, and keeps a step ahead of everyone. Almost like he's similar to another pointy-eared hero we all know. Starting out his villainous career, he'd set out to destroy...
So is he actually like an evil Batman? For y'all that know him, the people... I know y'all were talking about the creators of this comic. With the people who created this comic, were they basing him off Batman to make him like essentially an evil Batman? Like, what if Batman was like a deranged psychopath? Which Batman kind of is already. He's just like a good person. But I would say Batman's a psychopath. But is he like actually based on Batman, or y'all let me know? Sort of, yes.
Police chiefs as practice before killing the now appointed police chief in Washington, Chief Morrow, the man who condemned his entire family to death. So when the story really begins, it's after a time in Tokyo where Nemesis is committing various acts of terrorism, culminating in the murder of its police chief. By having a bullet train run the chief over and explode the tunnel so that it'd fall over thousands of people.
Yo, this is the craziest shot ever. Yo, imagine you in a subway, you just feeling the train go like these. Nigga, that is crazy. Oh, hell nah. The judge holding a comics, yo, he might actually be. We're gonna have to see the video, though.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding. This is how the book starts. After this, Nemesis then turns his attention over to Washington, D.C. and its famed chief of police, Blake Morrow, sending Chief Morrow a calling card stating, Blake Morrow, March 12th, at midnight. Flatline still counts. Morrow immediately gives out the order to put his family into protective custody, simultaneously planning ahead for what's to come from Nemesis, because Morrow knows the kind of reputation Nemesis holds. After this, his first act is the hijacking of Air Force One, which he crashes into the city, killing thousands, as I mentioned earlier in the video. Via a hijacked television signal, Nemesis openly declares his intentions toward Washington and reveals he has the president. Following this, he poisons those within the Pentagon and
How do you have the president and nobody found out, though? That's kind of crazy. How do you have the president and niggas found out on the phone or on the television? Yo, if Trump left niggas eyesight, bro, you would know the instant he was out of sight. Like, I feel like any president, like the moment he's out of sight, they'd know. That's kind of crazy, though. I don't know how, like, that's probably the most unrealistic thing I've heard out of this. Like, even though he killed niggas with a plane and all that, that's the most unrealistic thing I heard. There's no way he just had the president. Niggas ain't know.
And reveals he has the president. Following this, he poisons those within the Pentagon and reveals the veritable treasure trove of secrets contained within on the internet, on top of stealing all of the nuclear codes in the process. Striking back at Nemesis, Chief Blake sets up a trap involving a child and her heart transplant. Because Nemesis, the psychotic maniac he is, he just can't help himself but ruin the lives of children when given the chance. So after Nemesis steals the heart for the child...
Yo, that's your weakness, nigga? Yo, you're telling me the way to get you out of hiding is to say, yo, we got a child for you to kill. Yo, this nigga a demon. This nigga he might actually be a demon.
Surgery.
It might not have been glazed.
Spree, making the police force look like grade A fools with a capital F. However, in the process of escaping the police, Nemesis is captured by Blake Morrow, revealing the heart along with the surgery was just a ploy to get Nemesis out in the open. Nemesis was just carrying a pig heart the entire time. To which Nemesis mockingly tells the chief he planned to head for this. Days go by and everyone feels astoundingly safe now that Nemesis is locked up. So much so that Morrow gives the order to have his family come back home. But this doesn't last, because Nemesis doesn't even spend no longer than 15 minutes in prison before enacting the next step of his master plan, hiring people who work within the prison. They release Nemesis, who ends up killing 97 guards and releasing 2,000 inmates into the city.
Damn, bro. I need to see if it. I need to see how he jailbroke, bro. One thing I know, this is like unrelated, kind of. One thing that always pissed me off about The Dark Knight. I hate how Joker escaped jail. I feel like I love everything about Joker's plan except how he got the phone call. I don't know how stupid the police officers got to be to give Joker the phone when he had a knife at one of like the other officers. Why would you do that? Why would you give the person what they want? Obviously, if they're willing to take somebody's life, they really need the phone call. Why did y'all, like, it doesn't matter if you have the gun pointed at his temple, bro. Why would you give him what he wants? That's crazy. That is so crazy. What is this Johan type of planning? I swear, bro. I swear. Johan be running it deeper, though. Johan will go to jail on purpose, blow up the entire facility, and walk out by himself, like with no scratches, bro. So, dude, still crazy, still insane.
Blake discovers that his son and daughter are missing following this, captured by, you guessed it, Nemesis. And in exchange for their lives, Nemesis demands the chief to reveal 3 secrets, to which Morrow reluctantly tells Nemesis for the preservation of his children. Firstly, his wife Peggy had an affair with his former partner. Secondly, his son is homosexual. Thirdly, his daughter got pregnant and had an abortion. These 3 things reveal that Blake is a driven career man and placed greater emphasis on that side of his life, neglecting his family. Satisfied, Nemesis releases Blake's children unharmed. However, Blake's daughter is now pregnant by her brother via fertilization of her eggs. And
don't tell me this man put her brother's sperm inside her. No way.
As an added torture to Morrow, Nemesis ensures that if she has an abortion, she would be unable to bear children ever again. At this very moment reading this comic book, I was so viscerally appalled at the magnitude of evil Nemesis was willing to achieve that, in truth, I wanted nothing more than to see this dude get murdered.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, that was worth the glaze. Okay, that is so crazy. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that alone was worth the glaze. That is so, dude, you put a brother's sperm in your sister, my nigga? I don't even know, how did he do the abortion thing? Like, if she got the abortion, she can't have kids no more. How do you even do that? Wow, okay, never mind. Hey, I guess there was a reason you glazed as much as you did. I couldn't guess that even if I wanted to. I'm not even deranged enough to guess some stuff like that. That's absurd.
Thing imaginable to Blake's
children.
What
comic is this called, by the way? What is this comic called? Is the police officer the main character? Like, who is his, like? No one answered yet. Who is this guy's like hero counterpart, bro? Who's checking this nigga? There's no way he's roaming free and there's no hero counterpart.
who are completely innocent and have absolutely nothing to do with this rivalry. But Nemesis also goes out of his way to do the most obscene thing imaginable to them just to fuck with Blake some more. This, you can imagine, creates a rift between Blake and his family indefinitely, and to add the cherry on top, Nemesis also releases to the public what happened to his kids. Now, through an undercover cop implanted in the low levels of Nemesis's organization, Blake leads a raid at the home of Matthew Anderson, who it is hinted was masquerading as his uncle the entire time. However, the mansion is rigged to explode, killing most of the SWAT team. After this, Blake is captured, and Nemesis reveals his best friend of 10 years has been working with Nemesis the entire time.
Wait, so, hold on. First off, yo, getting backdoored by your homie is insane work, 1. 2, so the villain is actually, so Nemesis is the main character of Nemesis. The series is actually just called Nemesis. So the series is about him. Damn. Oh, no wonder he got this. He got 26 minutes worth of insane feats. Uncle looked like the absolute penguin. Absolute penguin. What you talking about, bro?
And Nemesis reveals his best friend of 10 years has been working with Nemesis the entire time, while also dropping the bombshell that he is not Matthew Anderson at all. That's right. The whole vengeance for his parents and destroyed childhood was nothing but a ruse. His whole backstory and motivation was nothing but a character he adopted to better destroy Chief Blake. Nemesis plans years in advance, planting moles and agents throughout the lives and organizations of his targeted police chiefs, confessing to Blake that he's nothing more than an extremely rich man who's just utterly bored and can only seek pleasure from ruining other people's lives. After killing his best friend brutally, Nemesis unveils his grand finale. Wow. They are in the Oval Office, and Blake's wife, along with the president, are both rigged with explosives.
This is gonna be an insane scene. I can tell, bro. He rigged explosives to their chest, and they both crying, and he's watching both. If I was to, what y'all think gonna happen, chat? If y'all have not seen this video, I think he's killing both in front of him, or he's gonna pretend to like spare one, and then he's gonna explode him like right before he gets saved. I'm not gonna lie, dude.
And it's here where Nemesis.
I've seen these scenes before. I played these games before.
Or the president. Blake is torn between the two, but the president makes the choice for him. And this part was hella funny to me, because when the president starts to approach Nemesis saying that he'll kill him, Nemesis in utter confusion is like, sir, I'm not entirely sure where this is going. Are you like an expert in kung fu or something I don't know about? Standing as close as possible to Nemesis, the president tells Blake to detonate his explosive, leading Blake and Nemesis to fight on the lawn on the outside of the White House. Blake manages to dog on Nemesis during the fight, and Nemesis pretty much cries to himself, making...
Oh, we cooking. Hold on. Okay.
Is like, if the president hadn't blown up in his face, he'd be winning this fight right now. To which the fight comes to a close with the two shooting each other at the exact same time, seemingly killing each other. However, the chief survives his injuries, while Nemesis, despite claiming to be too rich to fail, does not. A little detail I'd like to remind you all of, too, that's a really nice touch to the story, is the calling card given to Blake in the beginning, stating that he'll die on the 12th, and flatline still counts. Because that calling card ends up coming back into play when Blake flatlines on the table for a few minutes before getting brought back. And after this, Blake seemingly gets a happy ending, as he devotes his time to his family. After his ordeal with Nemesis revealed to him what was really important. And in something of an epilogue, it is revealed in a card addressed to Blake that a mysterious gentleman runs a business catering to the dark fantasies of bored and wealthy people, giving these people an adventure for a short few weeks every year, with artists and engineers working to create supervillainous characters for them to play. Whilst presently focused primarily in the Pacific Rim, a steadily growing client list is set to expand into the West. The letter tells Blake that he is safe from next year's supervillains and commends him for defeating Nemesis, even showing admiration for his choices between family and career. Remarkably too, Blake and his wife are given a bottle of the most expensive wine in the world, which has been waiting for them for 10 years.
Oh, hell no. Oh, yo, don't drink it, bro. Oh, do not drink it. Yo, do not drink it. Dude. Yo, someone in the chat said, call the Punisher. Dude, could the Punisher do something to him? Dude. Yo, Punisher versus Nemesis. Who y'all got, bro? Who y'all got? Punisher probably could. But damn. 10 years? He had that sitting for 10 years? You need like a Batman to go after. That's dedication beyond belief. You need someone of intense intelligence to go. Like, the Punisher is not smart enough to evade this. He planned this shit for 10 years. If they drink this, I'm actually gonna walk off the screen, bro.
Along with the letter, leaving you to kind of question if Nemesis is really truly dead. Yeah, he's super dead, which means this is the end of the video now. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Check out my Twitter, and as always, I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Psych! Nemesis is back, baby! We got Nemesis reloaded because he's reloaded and ready to
They made a whole new comic. So, like, the original comic actually ends there, but this is a whole new comic. Okay, bet.
Because he's locked and loaded. He's hiding under people's beds now, cracking smiles, and sticking his tongue out while blowing people up. He's such a silly little goofball, getting up to tons of mischief. This Nemesis story basically takes the things that happened before and reworks those story beats to make it a much more fluid and much better story. Taking things like the Matthew Anderson backstory from the previous story and making it Nemesis's origin among other story beats, which also segues us into this new Nemesis's origin. Now, who is Nemesis and how did he come to be? Again. Well, it all started with a string of 9 murdered hitchhikers found all over Los Angeles, mutilated, headless, and bug-ridden. An officer named Joe Costello, who's going to come back later on in the story, among other officers, were hell-bent on finding this killer. And they did on Matthew's 10th.
Booth breath is crazy. Yo, chat. Yeah, that's why I miss y'all niggas, bro. This nigga said booth breath, bro. Nah, for real though, yeah. I could not burp in the mic and then leave the video on, bro. I'd be thinking the same thing. It's like, damn, you really got booth breath, my nigga. Yo, that's crazy, bro. Ain't no way, bro. Zev, what happened to CJ the Champ? He hasn't updated his X account. I think the Eagles might have lost. I forget what football team he stands. They probably lost. He probably sick, bro. Shout out my man CJ the Champ though, bro. That he cooking something, bro. That man always working. Even though he might not be posting, he's always working. He a hard worker, bro.
When they beat the shit out of his parents and flipped his entire world upside down. After which he never saw his parents again because not too long after being in prison, they were given the lethal injection. After this, Matthew was sent to live in a corrupt orphanage where kids were used to serve the mob, leading Matthew to run away and try to make it on his own, picking pockets and living out of trash cans. Until one day he attempted to pickpocket a young lady in a diner, which brought Matthew to an avenue in life he never expected to go down. The young lady, seeing his raw potential, would extend an invitation for Matthew to meet his boss to make serious cashola, but it's a one-time offer. Reluctantly, Matthew accepts and drinks coffee offered to him by the lady, where he next awake to the sounds of chanting and drums, surrounded by several cultists as the leader shouts that Matthew is now in the circle, and if he attempts to leave, they'll set the dogs on him. Throwing down a spear to Matthew, they tell him that to earn his position, he has to prove that he's worthy by killing the opponent beside him. At first, Matthew doesn't seek to kill the kid, but once he realizes that this kid won't hesitate to kill him, he fights back until his opponent can no longer draw breath. After winning, Matthew was sent to his next trial. The next trial was in Yosemite Falls, and the challenge was to hold on for 3 whole days without losing grip under a waterfall. Matthew's master during the trial...
Bro, this that anime type training, bro. And yo, you holding on to a waterfall for 3 straight days? 3 straight days? Oh, heck nah, bruh. I need to see how this like villain group like develops as Nemesis grows older. Cause I'm pretty sure, like, I've not seen this vid, but like if I was to guess, this group was not mentioned when Nemesis was first appearing. I would assume he probably kills them at the end of the comic or something like that. Like I don't think for how deranged he is, he's not taking orders or advice from nobody. He's probably a solo act, you know.
Asked what motivates him to continue to survive.
Pretty sure he's gonna kill him.
To which Matthew would say back that it's for revenge. Revenge on the cops that took everything from Matthew, vowing to his master that he'll kill them all, leading his master to knock Matthew down the waterfall, shouting to prove it then, bringing us to the present day. A man named Jake hears a noise outside of his home. However, when he leaves to go check it out, he finds nothing. But upon entering his home and walking towards his wife Margot, he finds her scared to death, as she tells Jake that he's under the bed smiling from ear to ear. Later on in Los Angeles, a man named Carlos is leaving a club to be chauffeured around the city with his girlfriend. And Carlos is a pretty big player in Los Angeles, leading one of the top gangs in the city. However, that's all about to change as Nemesis glides down from the sky, bursting through the car windshield as he fights his way to Carlos, ultimately capturing him, and zipping off into the night sky. Cut to Carlos, surrounded by at least 50 others blindfolded inside of an in-ground pool. Nemesis then makes his presence known to everyone in the room and announces that he'll be hosting a Fortnite Battle Royale with all the blindfolded people being the involuntary contestants, in which he explains that the only way to get out alive is to kill everyone till there's only one left. And in case if it weren't clear enough, if they also remove the blindfold, they'll detonate a small bomb in their head and... well, I think you can imagine what would happen next. Soon, everyone in the in-ground pool begin to stab one another with weapons provided by Nemesis as a crowd watches on from the sidelines, horrified. Nemesis goes on to say to the crowd while the fighting goes on behind him that he's not here to take over Los Angeles or anything, but rather only hire each member from the crowd for 7 days to settle a score. Going on to say that if they help willingly, they'll be rewarded handsomely, and when Nemesis is done, they won't have to worry about the newly elected mayor promising to clean up the city. Eventually, the Battle Royale comes to an end with Carlos the last one standing, celebrating his victory. But Nemesis just shoots Carlos in the head and tells his newly hired henchmen, let's get started. For over 20 years, Nemesis has been...
What? Bro, you did that whole Battle Royale just to kill the nigga.
Tells his standing,
what was the point of that?
But Nemesis just shoots Carlos in the head and tells his newly hired henchmen, let's get started.
So who does he respect for? I thought, like, if you were to actually kill everyone, he would want you in his camp. But, like, there's people here that are clearly going to be working with
Carlos in the head and tells his newly hired...
I don't know. What the freak?
Henchmen, let's get started. For over 20 years, Nemesis has been honing his cruelty and skills, and he has planned out virtually everything for his revenge. As Nemesis, along with his henchmen, raid the Dubois Art Museum, making sure to kill absolutely everyone inside, either by slicing or dicing or dispersing toxic fumes into the air. After which Nemesis and the henchmen begin stealing everything expensive to fund the next step of his plan. This is where another part from the original Nemesis story gets reworked a bit, where before Nemesis originally planned to kill Detective Blake after 10 years of planning, now it's switched to a man named Joe Costello, just elected mayor, who has put over 2,000 new police officers onto the street. He's also the guy who killed Nemesis's parents, so you can guess where this is going to go. And in the middle of giving his speech, when he begins to announce the newly appointed chief of police, Wendy Gomez, her body is brought down, dangling.
Bro, why is that your reaction? Bro, no, oh my gosh, no, my goodness, no scream. It says Cheryl. Like, you see that, you say Cheryl. You yell that at the top of your lungs. That's your reaction. That's crazy. Yo, I would have been screaming top of my lungs like I was a shorty, bro. I wouldn't do. I'm telling you, that is so disrespectful. That is heinous
high
acts.
above the stage.
That is heinous
back over
acts.
With Nemesis, after killing dozens of police officers from the museum, Nemesis somehow hacks into several broadcasting channels where he then addresses the people, as he says, "Hello, children. Don't worry. There's nothing to be afraid of. If I wanted you dead, you'd be choking on your guts right now. You don't know me, but I've got such a plan for this place, and in 7 days' time, everything will be clear. Only one thing stands in my way of the scheme, and it's all these extra cops on the streets. So I pulled a $100 million heist this evening, the proceeds of which I'm going to share with all the little people. Are you listening out there? Because this is quite an offer. I'm putting a bounty on the head of every police officer in the city. Damn. I'll pay you 10 grand for every dead cop."
Yo, I'm not gonna lie. Number one, that was a tough speech right there. That was a fire speech right there. One.
As he walks
Two.
Launchers, immediately causes chaos.
He said this on live.
Live feed. Says, "I'll pay her. I'm putting a bounty on the head of every police officer in the city. I'll pay you 10 grand."
He is paying 10 grand per body, bro. Nah, I'm not gonna lie, bro. You got it. I can't lie. I like that right there. I might, depending on how this video goes, I might actually read like the entire Nemesis comic. Is it a long one? Doesn't seem that long. He went through the whole like first iteration in like 9 minutes. I might have to peep this, bro. This nigga got it
for every
God damn. Yeah, it's for the 918K niggas. Yo, Prime 6ix9ine was barely hitting that. How much did Prime 6ix9ine get in quarantine? Was it 1 million on IG Live?
Nemesis says this as he walks into the crowd of cop cars outside, which he seems to have already blown up with various rocket launchers, as Nemesis then executes a cop on that live feed, going out to everyone. This immediately causes chaos in the streets of Los Angeles as cops are targeted left and right, with even kids gunning for the heads of police officers jumping at the chance to make 10 grand. As Mayor Joe Costello was thrown through a complete loop on how to even go about stopping Nemesis while the entire police force is either dropping like flies or quitting. But this brings nothing but pure joy to Nemesis as he watches the man who took everything from him begin to slowly lose it all. However, after the museum fiasco, the man Jake from earlier is just like, bro, why are me and my wife here? We aren't criminals. To which Nemesis just shushes Jake and says that they're both a part of the plan and not to worry. Now, cutting through a few minor story beats, Nemesis essentially brings the city to its knees after kidnapping the newly appointed police chief, Reggie, by bursting through his helicopter window and nabbing him. A day goes by, and randomly the next night, a distress call goes out over by...
Does he not have power? Does he have powers? He has to have powers. You can't just do that.
Kidnapping the newly appointed police chief, Reggie, by bursting through...
You can't just do that, bro. You can't, dude. This man did a rush down tackle on a flying helicopter. Someone in the helicopter. Nigga, you can't do that, bro. He has no powers. Do I call this plot?
His helicopter.
Do I call this plot?
A day goes by, and randomly the next night, a distress call goes out over by the waters, so a police unit goes by to check it out, where they find the new police chief Reggie handcuffed to the boat, not knowing that it's clearly a trap, as Nemesis sneaks onto their boat, tranquilizing most of the cops except for one. The last cop pulls out his gun, aiming at Nemesis, but Nemesis, calm and collected, tells the cop named Eddie to compose himself, and aim the gun right between his shoulder blades, allowing Eddie to get used to the rhythm of the water. Eddie asks why he wants to do this, to which Nemesis tells him that he wants him to see just how fast he really is. Eddie fires the gun, but at the moment of firing, a baton is sent towards his face, breaking his nose, and Nemesis comes out completely fine. Kinda reminds me of that Sean Strickland fight with Sneeko, that shit.
Yeah, wow. He might be that guy. Nemesis versus Captain America. If Nemesis has no powers, Captain America in 4. Not close either.
So unfair.
Captain America frying him.
Nemesis then handcuffs each of the officers to the inside of the boat and then manages to make the boat start to slowly sink, where Nemesis explains to officers Reggie and Eddie that they were both responsible for the death of his parents, and that they will both die a slow and agonizing death for it. As the boat sinks ever so slowly, Nemesis hitches a ride with his henchmen and on to the next step of his master plan, by making a suicide bomber crash a plane directly into the National Guard. It's here where we see just how inhumane Nemesis truly is, from how he explains how to create a suicide bomber, by exclaiming that it all starts with a little sexual blackmail. See, Nemesis hired one of his underage goons to seduce an airline pilot, after which Nemesis used the footage of the pair to blackmail the pilot to do his bidding, or else the footage would get leaked and her entire life would end up ruined. Thus, Nemesis commanded her to kill one person after the other, good or bad. It never really mattered. Nemesis recorded her committing one murder after the other, stockpiling on the blackmail till she did everything he said right up to the end, for it all to remain a secret. And after the bomber does her thing, crashing into the National Guard, chaos ensues on the streets, and Nemesis, along with his army of henchmen, set off to kill the few soldiers left alive.
That man had flight tongue emotes too.
After this, Nemesis pays a visit to another police officer by the name of Maggie Cheng, now retired. They share a conversation about the state of the world for a few brief moments, and Maggie accepts her death, which surprises Nemesis. So he just has Jake and Margot burn Maggie alive for him. I swear it just gets more and more messed up as the pages keep turning. This ends up leading Joe Costello to arrive at Maggie's apartment to try and save her in time, but by the time he arrives, he bumps into Nemesis, leading him to shoot Costello in the leg, telling him that he doesn't get to die until Friday, silly. Later in the hospital, Joe recovers from his wounds, and in the midst of other officers trying to figure out Nemesis's motives for messing with Joe and his old unit, Nemesis begins to broadcast a new message to the people of Los Angeles, playing on a continuous loop. Nemesis in the message says, "Good morning, Los Angeles. Welcome to more chaos and disorder. But this will seem like the good old days."
This nigga worse than the Joker? I don't know, bro. Batman villain? I don't know about the Joker specifically. But I know, bro, Batman villains have done some heinous stuff. Harley Quinn exploded she put bombs inside of Game Boys and exploded it in families' faces for Christmas, bro. Like, legitimately killed them, bro. And absolute Joker be eating kids. No pause on that. Resume. Like, I'm talking no Gideon, no Chris Hansen, no EDP. Like, legitimately eat children, bro. So I don't even know for real. Joker probably worse though.
Compared to what I've got coming next. The device behind me is an atomic bomb, and the bad news is I'm going to level this city if anyone is seen in public. I've got drones in the sky watching every single street, so it's locked down again until further notice. But this could all end tomorrow if the mayor plays ball and does precisely as I tell him. I know he's recovering in the hospital from those gunshot wounds, but he can make everything right again if he meets me on the 5 p.m. train at the Pershing Square subway. Oh, and make sure you're on your own, Joe. One wrong move, and I press this red button here. As the message ends, Joe sits up and is prepared to meet Nemesis and follow through on his demands. The others in the room say that Nemesis will kill him for sure, and Joe understands that, but he has a feeling that if he at least gives himself up, all of this will at least stop and no one else will get hurt. So that afternoon, with the entire city staying indoors per Nemesis' orders, Joe heads off to catch that 5 p.m. train Nemesis wants him on. Joe arrives at the station and gets on the train, and he heads off. Joe's whole journey here is being live streamed to the world by Nemesis. The entire city, including Joe's wife, Natalie, are all watching the stream on their TV and other devices. And as the train is on the tracks moving, it eventually approaches a tunnel. Once it hits the tunnel, the train goes dark. When the train comes out to the other side of the tunnel, Joe is no longer in it. Everyone watching from home has no idea what happened to Joe. And this all comes to a head as Nemesis has Joe tied to the nuclear bomb in his lair. Wow. He tells Joe, "Hello, Mr. Mayor. This is the bomb I was telling you about. Are you ready to answer some difficult questions? Because the entire city is depending on you right now." As Costello was rigged to the nuclear bomb and a light.
How did he get cams on him? I have no idea how he got cams on him, number one. I really don't. I real life do not, bro. This comic felt like plot cheese when you read it, or like you're talking about from the video. I don't feel no plot cheese right now. But like Nemesis is definitely doing some crazy stuff though, bro. For sure.
Nemesis tells him that the lie detector is very sophisticated, so he better not lie, because if he lies, the bomb will blow. On top of this, the whole interrogation is being broadcast to everyone in Los Angeles. So Nemesis's first question is, are you the former detective and heroic district attorney known as the Honest Joe Costello? Joe answers yes, so Nemesis asks, and are you the current mayor of Los Angeles? Joe says he is, and so far these are all pretty surprisingly easy questions. Nemesis then tries to throw Joe off, so he asks how big Joe's you-know-what is, to which Joe gives an incredibly accurate measurement that I'm not at liberty to say, so I'm sorry. And across all of these questions, Joe is being astoundingly truthful, leading Nemesis to finally ask the real question that he wants an answer to. Nemesis says, "I want you to tell me everything concerning the arrests of Chuck and Katie Anderson for the murder of those 9 hitchhikers all those years ago." He wants to finally hear the truth about his parents. Being forced to tell the truth, Joe explains that him and his fellow officers, the ones that Nemesis...
I'm surprised he wasn't the one that killed the hitchhikers. I thought it was Nemesis. High key.
Has murdered this entire week all came through the academy together, and they vowed to shake things up to clean up the city. So they solved all of these crimes, big and small, one by one together. But there was one case they couldn't crack. Who was murdering all of these hitchhikers? Joe says we'd been after a couple of drug dealers for a while, a husband and a wife, and we couldn't pin anything on them. They were making a killing and driving us nuts, because we've taken down everyone else in that area. Joe can't remember who had the idea, but they decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and frame his parents for the murders of the hitchhikers, giving themselves a perfect record and continuing to rise through the ranks of the department. They faked the evidence for Chuck and Katie Anderson and sent them both to prison for a crime they never committed. Nemesis then says, "But you didn't just send them to prison, did you? You knew they faced death by lethal injection, leaving their little boy behind in the care system." Saying to Joe, "Do you know who that boy grew up to be?" Joe realizes that Nemesis was that boy. As Nemesis continues by saying that you always had to be the best, didn't you? You always had to win no matter what the cost to anyone else. Your family must feel sick about your behavior. Nemesis then turns off the nuclear bomb, and as the video feed cuts off, Nemesis reveals his parents.
So this is a whole revenge story. Wow!
Coffin with his dead parents inside, brought up and presented to Joe. The next day, two of the henchmen Nemesis hired from the very beginning, Jake and Margot, are driving Nemesis to the airport, where they ask him what Nemesis ended up doing with Joe Costello. Nemesis explains he buried Joe Costello in the coffin with his parents and put him under the floor.
Hey, shout out Blue Line AAC with the prime sub. He said, yo, it's glad to see you, Vax Zeph. I appreciate you. These streams been going hard. Can't wait for the Raid 2 video down the line. Yeah, Raid 2, I'm thinking maybe beginning next year. I have a lot of videos that I gotta get out, but I'm ready to hopefully beginning of next year, like that video, Ewok show. I'm hoping.
Won't ever hear him, adding that Joe always said he would be at City Hall for a long time. He just didn't know how right he truly was. After finally achieving his revenge he had set out to claim for over 20 years, Nemesis would finally leave Los Angeles feeling somewhat content. And as Jake alongside Margot arrive at the airport, Nemesis begins to head inside his private plane. When Margot comments that everything Nemesis set out to do has tied up perfectly. Every single loose end is in a little bow now. Well, all except for one little thing. Who really killed all of those hitchhikers 20 years ago? Who stood back and let Nemesis's parents take the blame for their crime? It turns out that Jake and Margot were responsible the entire time. And Nemesis tells them, did you really think you were going to get away with this, Jake? I know what you and Margot used to get up to. Wow. Nemesis gives them both a gun and tells them, alright, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna settle this with an old-fashioned duel. And whoever draws first gets to be my butler. I've got a whole list of criminal ventures planned for the future, and I need to have someone to make my morning coffee.
She ain't even wait. Yo, that's a terrible woman. Yo, she ain't even wait. She ain't even wait, bro. Dude, she just got the gun.
Coffee. What do you say? Does that sound like a fair way of settling this? Without even a second thought, Margot shoots Jake in the head and explains that it was either him or her, and she chose herself. Nemesis is more than delighted with her decision, the psychopath that he is, and says that he thinks the two of them will get along just fine.
They won't.
Ending the story. That was the story of Nemesis.
No way!
And I'm not lying when I say that Nemesis in all sense of the word is fucked. But after all...
I thought it was gonna be more than that. There's still like a minute left.
All these comics that I've read, which really isn't that long of a list, I gotta say that I kinda actually like the character in a few ways. I like his entire aesthetic.
But this is just like a finale thingy. But ain't no way, yo, that was gas. I don't think, now this might be a hot take, I don't think he's as crazy as the Glaze was at the beginning. You are still a crazy bastard. But I don't know if it's, after watching this video, would I say he's worse than Griffith? No. Would I say he's worse than Reverse Flash? Probably not. He's done some crazy things. Like, there was a lot in this video. That sister thing, that brother-sister thing was insane. Him, literally, the way he was killing all the police officers, the way he literally drove the plane down to kill the civilians is insane. But I don't know, bro. Dr. Doom's willing to have entire universes be erased for his hatred. Yo, Reverse Flash is willing to destroy entire timelines for his hatred. Griffith only really has the Eclipse, unless I'm forgetting some stuff in Berserk. But the Eclipse is just so crazy. That's like, bro, that is your homeboy. That's your homeboy, and he slimed y'all out for nothing. He slimed y'all out for nothing. Nemesis is a big fish in a small pond. He has nothing on big dogs like Griffith or First Flash, etc. I think he's definitely hovering on that tier, though. He might be a tier below. Because, like, he doesn't have someone there wasn't anyone specific that he did all the hatred on, like, for crazy reason. There was, like, the police officer here, and, like, this guy at the end, but, like, nothing, like, to them at least, it wasn't anything insane. But I don't know, strictly hating wise, he's up there. He's a vile villain. He is a vile villain for sure. I'm not gonna take away from that. But I don't know if I put him in the upper echelon. But I appreciate y'all. Hey, shout out Mullet Man Comics. This was a great video, bro. I'm gonna catch y'all next time. Again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'm gonna see y'all.